It works? Yeah, well.
Do you want a coffee?
No, I'm good. I just had one.
Yes, please.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I know that Simon's got a lovely little intro for you.
Lisa and Simon.
Yeah.
Adam.
Adam, a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, I've watched so much stuff of your stuff online, and it's so weird to be here and go. So listen, I'm going to be professional, and yes, I have got notes because there's no way I can remember all this stuff.
You didn't watch anything, did you? I sent you all the links. I sent you all the
You
links.
sent me all the links. And
I've watched you bouncing on motorcycles, KTMs especially, through a whole bunch of countries, camping, and then...
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I genuinely did.
No, I heard him watch it because he's going, oh bloody hell, how does he do that?
There are certain people that you watch, no matter what they do, whether they're a musician, a motorcyclist, whatever, that they make it look so effortless that you run that gamut of, am I inspired or intimidated? Anyone sound familiar when you watch someone do something so well? Okay, we're going to kick off. So, Adam Riemann, sorry but I got it right. Adam started his, got into bikes at 19. By the time he was 27, he was 2 times Western Australian Enduro champion. His passion for racing also meant he went into motor journalism. What's really impressive, anyone heard of the Think Desert Rally? If you haven't, it's one of the most grueling desert rallies on the planet, multiple stage winner. And this part is very cool, 31st overall at the Erzberg Rodeo in 2007.
Like forever ago.
It doesn't matter, the fact
I'm
that-
old now.
Bearing in mind, the Erzberg Rodeo was set up by somebody who said this race is designed to be unfinishable. This guy's wet dream is to have nobody finish the race. So whether you're finishing first or 101st, to get to the end of that is a remarkable feat. So the last time you emailed us, which was the first time, which was really cool by the way.
Sorry.
That's all right, it was cool. You said you were living off your bike.
Yeah, that Norden just over there, that's completely covered in mud and shit from Italy and France. And I rode it here like that, and no one seemed to care.
Do you ride off-road?
Yeah, I do a bit. But yeah, no, we're sorry about that whole email thing. When it came through, I was on the bike, jet lagged, moving into this trip, and yeah, it was quite a long-winded email, and I was just like, oh, I'll get to that. And yeah, I think I passed through another 2 countries, and then you emailed me again, and you weren't happy about it, and I was like, shit,
I wasn't, I was just a little forceful.
Yeah.
You know me, I can be forceful.
So you probably got an understanding of what's involved there. I mean, you guys travel together. How easy is that? You got you cook. Probably
I just
do stuff. Hey, you probably even get a shag now and then. You know, like
No.
This is going to be the best interview of the day with 2 seconds in and it's shagging.
Did you manage?
Did I manage? I do have a missus in Australia.
It's already gone there.
I do have a missus in
the tent. How is that for you?
Oh, you know, a bit of time on the road. You're going to have to rub one out.
I swear to God, the best thing about having a South African or an Australian on the stage is you can say wank and then he'll go, what's that?
So how long have you been on the road?
I think I flew into Austria on the 10th of this month. Where are we at now? 27? So what's that? 17 days across Europe. Yeah, I'm feeling it this time because I'm not far off coming back from the Himalayas, and that was huge. Less in terms of the jet lag, because it's sort of on our timeline, but the altitude destroys you.
So when you say the Himalayas, what was your route through the Himalayas?
Himalayas, sorry. Himalayas.
I know. We've been having an argument about that.
I flew into Kathmandu, Royal Enfield had a bike for me there, and then I basically followed a route that they pieced together into the Upper Mustang. There's a place called the Forbidden City, and it's right on the border of China, and it's awesome because it's completely Tibetan, but it's on the Nepal side of the border, and so you can kind of free range and experience Tibet without the constriction of China. And there's a lot of off-road to get there.
What bike were you on?
The Himalayan 450.
Okay.
A little legend of a thing, really. Like, it was
that the first time you've ridden that bike?
first time I'd had anything, probably the first Royal Enfield I'd ever seen.
Okay.
Because they're not.
How was it? Because it's very different to your normal.
I know, and they, long story short, they approached me a couple of years ago to do the trip, and you know, motocross, enduro, desert racing, adventure. It's all kind of different sort of perspective on bikes, and so to me, Royal Enfields are just like these classic, you know. I don't want to say the wrong thing about them, but I didn't feel like they were something I'd ever be riding. And then when I looked into it, and they've got this new model, and it kind of looks like a dirt bike, I thought, let's do this, you know. And I'm so glad I did. The people are just so great to deal with. The bike is its name. It couldn't, you couldn't be on anything else in that terrain, you know. Like everyone's like, how aren't you missing the Warhorse? It's like, you don't want to be on a big twin cylinder in the Himalayas. You're going to fly off a cliff, you're going to hit a cow. You need something that is low to the ground, nimble, and slower. A lot slower than these friggin' sports bikes in dirt bike frames.
So what altitude did you get up to?
I was riding at 5,500 metres in the end, and luckily. So if you're laying on a beach, next time you're laying on a beach, look up and imagine 5.5 kilometres straight up, and that's where you're actually riding a motorcycle. It's crazy.
I think that's something around 16,000 feet. I was just talking to myself.
Don't talk to yourself. There's an audience out there. They want to hear you. It was about 17 and a bit.
Yeah, sorry, I don't.
200, something like that. I think.
We don't operate in feet. Can you get the Google?
I think it's about
I'm pretty sure it's between 16 and 17,000 feet.
It's a long way.
I was old enough.
And you have to. You can't just hop off a plane and go to these altitudes. You kind of have to spend time in these areas, and because this happened over the course of 2 weeks, and I started in Nepal and did the run up to the Forbidden City up at Mustang, and I think the maximum I got to there was 4,000 metres. So the first climb was to Manang, and I slept at 3,500 metres, and it's hectic. Your body doesn't like it. You can't sleep because it's like, wake up. You know,
You're not getting enough O2.
your brain's active, so you just don't sleep, and it's a struggle, and it just compounds, and I've got 2 young kids, so I don't sleep anyway, and you just kind of get up and get on with it. But the good thing was, by the time I got to India, and then I did this pressure test in the Shinkala Pass, I was adamant in, you know, crossing this pass on 2 wheels, but you couldn't. The police stopped us. They weren't letting motorcycles through, and there was this other guy. Like, just watch the video. Just watch it. But look, riding at altitude, yeah, it's full on because you can't see it. You know, if you're comfortable on the bike, it's normal. As soon as you have the slightest little tank slap or dab of foot, or if you drop the bike and you go pick it up, your heart rate will go through the roof because you've just burnt oxygen that's not available.
Was this the first time you'd been at that?
No. In 2017, I rode to, did one of the movies called Moto Nomad, and we basically retraced one of the Dakar routes in Chile, and I brought 2 friends with me, ex-pro riders, right, and I needed to see for myself how they were going to cope because I'd ridden altitude before with my dad in a previous Himalayan trip. And anyway, we're on 500 fuel-injected KTM 500 EXCs, and we rode up this volcano, and by the time we got to the top, 5,500 meters, we were downshifting those things to first gear, and they were barely pulling us up a slope like that, because it's a full reality check on the available, not just oxygen, but air density. So your 500 EXCs reduced to like a scooter, and they were running fine because the fuel injection maps it, but the available capacity is now like a 50cc, and they were just, these are high performance engines. Just on that was to me one of the most impressive things about the Himalayan 450 is that it just kept on chugging up there. They live in that climate. They've obviously developed that bike in the mountains, and you know they actually call that motor the Sherpa. It carried me over high altitude passes. It is its name. So anyway, I think they deserve that little plug. It's a great company, cool bike.
One of the interesting things is, I don't know if you guys know about being altitude, it doesn't matter how fit you are. It's got nothing to do with your fitness levels. I always suffer from altitude. Simon only ever once. But it doesn't matter. You can be
altitude
the fittest.
Sickness.
Yeah, you can be the fittest person, marathon runner, etc. You may be okay once, and then the second time it floors you, and it is a horrible, horrible thing to experience whilst you're riding a motorcycle, because it can actually turn out to be quite dangerous if you push through it.
Absolutely, and the thing with that South America trip, we did this volcano run as a bit of a stress test, because I wanted to make sure my mates and myself were going to handle it. So we rode up to 5,500 meters, spent the night at 4,500 meters, and that was just awful. You didn't sleep. You're just waiting there, surviving for the sun to come up. But the thing is, after that we crossed the Bolivian Altiplano, and if you commit to that, you're not coming down from like 3,900 meters is the minimum. So if you do get sick, you're in big trouble. It's either a helicopter, which there's issues there with altitude as well, or you got to ride out of there. So it was a bit of a gamble. We did the volcano run, and then like, right, we're getting to La Paz, and we're going across the Bolivian Altiplano, and we pulled it off. And
for anyone that doesn't know, the Bolivian Altiplano is the second highest plateau on the planet. And it's also one of the most spectacular rides that you can imagine. But you're absolutely right, once you get up there, once you're there, there's no quick way down if you start getting ill.
No, and the only way to really reverse the altitude sickness is to get down. They all say that. They can kind of keep you ticking over with medication or whatever, but unless you get down, you're in trouble.
Quick question, so the ABR Festival, I'm genuinely delighted to have you here. Your ride from Austria to here, now was that just opportunistic? Did you have other things to do on the way through? Was it very much a case of, well, I'm doing the ABR thing, I'm just going to go and enjoy a ride anyway? Was there filming along the way? Was that part of the plan?
I'd never heard of the ABR Festival till about 6 months ago. Alan Davis, the founder of this, and I'm glad I found it, because he just did the message contact on my website, and there's lots of those, and I thankfully saw it, and I thought, oh, I'll see what this guy's on about. And then I looked at the ABR on the website and thought, shit, this looks like kind of a big deal. And they were, he invited me to come, wanted me to come here, and I thought, well, there's no way you ever been to Australia? You ever flown there? It's shit. Like, the flight is terrible. So I thought, there's no way I'm flying.
Australia's not shit, the flight shit.
Yeah, sorry. That amount of hours in an aeroplane destroys you. So
27
to do all that, sit on a stage and then do it back, I thought, no way. I said to Alan, look, fly us to another country, I'll borrow a bike, I'll ride there, I'll shoot some content, and I'll point it all to your event. And so yeah, I got back to him a few months later. Maybe it takes a while to, you know, piece all this together and borrow a manufacturer's bike. But the Austrians are great. They're just like, yep, what do you want to do? So I said to Alan, just fly me to Austria and I'll get to your event. And I just scraped in. It was literally 10 minutes before my chat yesterday at the main stage. And the reason being, I was trying to ride as much of the European or UK TET as possible, and it was just a, you know, sneaking through people's backyards, across that field, back on the road.
That wasn't actually the TET, that was just someone's backyard.
Yeah, probably. But 250k is like, you could blow hours doing it. In Australia, you'll knock that on the head in a couple of hours. But
How
anyway.
many have you ridden Australia? For anyone that hasn't, the distances are vast. So you'll ask directions from somebody and they'll say, yeah, down here mate, it's 2 sets of traffic lights on the left. The distance between the two is 120 miles. And it's just literally what they've said. So to get here, it must be, I mean, have you ridden the UK before?
I have. I think there's, how many Warhorse riders are there in the crowd? There's a couple. I expected more. I bought an old Africa Twin in Norway in 2022, and before that I didn't know really much about those bikes. I knew about the new ones, but they never imported this model into Australia. Anyway, long story short, I wanted to go to Nordkap and North Cape, Nordkap, top of the world, top of Europe. And I thought I won't organise a bike with the manufacturer. I'll just do it myself. I'll just go and buy some old shitter and make a video riding to the top of Europe. And so I get to Norway, and within 3 days I had narrowed it down to a KTM 950, an older one, an XTZ 750 Super Tenere, and then an old Africa Twin. And so these, I just needed, the older the better. Just wanted to do, you know, yeah, and just kind of restore faith in the people. I was just jumping from one new bike to the next, and it, you know, I didn't want it to be like, oh, there he goes, off on another new bike. So I hit the ground running with my brother-in-law, luckily lives in Norway, found this thing, went and bought it, and to me it was just a prop. Like, I just need something to shoot video with and ride. And within, I don't know, it probably was as soon as I fired the thing up, I just loved it.
So you were not expecting to get sentimentally attached?
No, I was just going to leave it there or flog it or give it to my brother-in-law. I just needed something to shoot content with. 1,000 k's into the journey, I'm like, I will never sell this thing. And I did 6,000 k's straight up. Didn't even look down at it, fixed the stickers, had some basic issues, pissed in the radiator, you know, like just this sort of stuff that you do on these old bikes. And when I got back to Arendal, which is at the base of Norway, I was contemplating riding it back to Australia. And I'm looking at the geography, and I've ridden through a bit of the Middle East, and when I didn't have kids, and I was sort of like, look, the path I need to take, I probably, one, don't really have the time to do it, and probably don't need to push my luck in that regard. So I started looking at how am I going to ship this back? And then I got onto this site that do send bikes all over the world, and they said, yeah, the closest depot to you is London. So to answer your question, I rode from Norway on the Warhorse as a second. If you'd watched the fucking links to the video I sent you.
The pink Warhorse!
Yes, but you'd know all this, and I wouldn't be blowing our interview.
No, I know all this, but nobody else has seen it.
No, there's a couple. There's probably no, like, anyway.
If you tried harder...
I rode the UK. Well, I will say, then from Newcastle, I got the ferry from the Netherlands to Newcastle, and then just fumbled my way into the centre, and yeah, what an amazing run. It's everything we've grown up looking at, seeing in the films and the documentaries of of old England. I saw castles, the forests I went through, the tracks were brilliant, perfectly suited to the old Africa Twin. And I made my way down into the city and got the bike to this transport company. And yeah, 3 months later it was at home in Australia, and I've since done all sorts of shit with it. Even bought another one.
Oh my god.
You have fallen.
This is turning into a love affair, isn't it?
Totally.
But I remember watching the video. Am I right in thinking it was there that he had? Am I right in thinking, when was the last time you actually owned a bike? So I remember you saying, I've actually not had a bike that was actually privately mine for quite a while.
No, and it was, the Warhorse kind of broke that cycle, but before that, from 2004, 2003 actually, that whole state enduro championship era, KTM sponsored me with bikes, and funnily enough, that money that when you're racing, it's all about that bike. And next year, like, the thing's flogged at the end of the season, so you're always upgrading to the next model. And then when I finally got good enough to get sponsored, that money, because KTM were giving me bikes, that money that was mine for the bikes I'd own, I actually bought a camera. Like, I bought camera gear with it because I got this opportunity to write stories for a magazine. And so those two were kind of connected. So I no longer owned a motorcycle, and that went all the way from 2004 to, it was 2012. Yeah, I hadn't had to actually own a bike. Shit, I can't even remember how many bikes I've ridden in between. But basically, I joined in the media game and was just opportunity, just riding everything. And KTM were bringing in a new 300 EXC at the time, and they wanted me to do, or the magazine wanted me to do features on it. And I wanted to ride the Australian Enduro. It's a 4-day event, and it was like a month away. And I said, where's the 300? This event's in a month. I need to be training on that thing now. And then they're like, oh, it's not going to be until the next shipment. I thought, shit. Okay, I just went in the paper. I was right in the sort of the middle of my media journalism thing, and I didn't want to make a statement by going and buying like a model that was, connecting with a Yamaha or anything. So I found an obsolete model, which incidentally was the last Honda CR250, 2007 model motocross bike. It is a great thing, but it had no connection to anything. Honda couldn't really cash in on the alignment because they didn't even make it anymore. And so I bought that, and it was the first bike. So that was 2012. Yeah, it was the first bike I had owned in about 7, 8 years. And then right through to the Warhorse, which was 2022. So from 2003 to 2022, I'd only ever owned one motorcycle. And I'd ridden, you've all seen the bikes and the places and everything, and it was quite a very spoiled thing. And what got to me is I'd meet all these people, and you'd go into their shed, and they've got friggin' 15 motorcycles, and everyone has a reason, a story, a purpose. And I just felt so like shallow, like I'm not a real rider, I don't have Riemann bikes. Just all these one night stands with it, and just like even this Husky, after today, just park it, get in a taxi, see you later. It was great. But
they're not buying this. Look at this. Oh, it must be awful to be Adam.
But what I thought was, I really want my own, you want to go out and the CR is just a wild animal. Riding that thing's like getting into a fight. Like, it's hard work, right? The Warhorse, the Africa Twin, it's like your missus, It's like your wife.
We're
if
back
you
to that.
enjoy riding it.
I'm just thinking about segue and thinking about it's like going to war and losing a lot on a daily basis. Love you.
You mentioned your films quite a bit, so I don't know if many of you guys are following Motology films, which I know you set up in 2009. But you also mentioned your Moto Nomad series.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if you guys have been following that, just all nod, yes? And
If you haven't, go and subscribe
Yeah.
to A Riemann 1.
so just fill in a little bit about your Moto Nomad series.
That was 2013, and the year before that I did my first big, let's say, international adventure ride with my dad through India, through the Himalayas, on these little 150cc Honda rip-off things, Heroes. Yeah, that's
I know the bike.
That's what they are. Hey, epic. And coming back to the Royal Enfield thing, I'll just drop this in quickly. This is a whole nother hour, this story. But anyway, look, I did this trip with my dad, 4,500 Ks through the Himalayas, and after that, I thought, I want to do this again, but I want to do it properly, with a mate that can actually ride, do it on proper bikes. The 150s were perfect for Dad, but I just had this idea of a mate that could ride with me and we'd just take on some monumental expedition. And when I got home, I thought, because I was racing, it was all about racing, and I knew KTM were just going to kind of give the green tick to any crazy idea. It was just that time of my life. And I thought, right, start at the factory in Austria, and I just, on a map, went around, circled around until I found the most significant landmark to ride to. And when you spiral out, you'll hit the pyramids. I thought, that's it. I'm going to ride from the KTM factory to the pyramids on 500 EXCs. I'm going to take better camera gear, mate that can ride, and just get to the best locations possible in between. And that's how that started. And I pulled it off. As I mentioned yesterday, you may have seen an image of the 500 EXC doing a wheelie in front of the pyramids. The only reason that happened is because the whole of that centre of the Middle East was just at war then. It was right when the chemical weapons were being thrown at Syria. There were submarines and warships coming into the Mediterranean. It was, when we flew there, even KTM Australia were like, mate, you're never getting to Egypt because they've stopped everything. And I thought, well, the flights are booked, the bikes are approved, we'll just go.
You don't know till you go.
No, and I thought, screw it, we'll just ride to the border of Turkey and see what we can work out. And if we get there and there's just no possible transit, we'll just ride around to Greece and do some hard
It's not
enduro.
like you're not going to find epic riding in that region.
Just this, I knew I had a story in the bag from Austria to Turkey. The shit that went on just to get there was enough. But then, yeah, fate just has it, like, watch the movie. We got to Egypt and just tanks, and would never actively seek out a war zone, especially to ride through. But again, I was pretty ignorant to political climates. I just wanted to put a dirt bike in front of the pyramids, ride a dirt bike to Jordan, Wadi Rum, Petra, all these places. The priority to me was always the cinematic capture, where you can put a dirt bike. The adventure of trying to do that would just write itself, and that became the theme of Moto Nomad. And we suffered because we're in motocross gear, carrying fuck all, but had camera gear, and that was the priority. And yeah, did 2 more after that.
But that's absolutely lovely to hear, because ultimately, for all of us that ride motorcycles, we don't ride them, we don't go places because it's sensible or practical. We ride them because it's something we love to do, and what the hell, why not? And I love the fact that you're describing that. You're not making some grandiose statement. You're going, well, because I just thought it would be awesome.
But also, one of the other important things is, I know that a lot of you may think that Adam's got a team behind him and he has his makeup done in the morning so that when he gets on the bike he looks perfect. He's doing it all himself. So it literally is what you see in the movies, and when it's put together, you're doing it, you're collecting it, you're storing that and editing that information. And we have always had a problem with when you take footage, is then taking it off at night. So not only have you had a hard day's ride, you've then got to do all of that, taking that footage off and storing it somewhere afterwards, and that can take a long time. And so nobody's doing it for Adam, he's actually doing it himself. And I think a lot of people miss out on that thing. They think you've got a big team behind you.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and that's the, how can I say, that's the best criticism for me, when people are in disbelief that you've done it yourself, because the goal with that Moto Nomad was to try and capture something worthy of playing in a cinema, and we actually did that in Australia. Another magazine said, hey, let's release your movie at this cinema, and you know, I wasn't thinking that way, I just wanted to get it out to the world, and we did it, and it was a success. But the thing is, as you know, the priority is the hard drives. I don't even like leaving them in the friggin' hotel over there, you know, like forget the bikes, forget everything. You haven't sealed the deal until you got those hard drives home, and that's what a lot of people, will never understand.
How you lost Billy?
There's not many camera crews that would ever keep up or follow us to where we go anyway. I always work with pro riders, my friends, right? Because you need someone, as you guys know, traveling together, you're in each other's pockets, it's pressure cooker situations. The last thing you need to worry about is the bikes and the riding, because there's so much else to contend with. If you're with someone who's holding up the show quite literally for their riding, it's just doomed from the beginning. So the bikes and the riding, and that's half the alignment. I sort of only steer towards bikes that I believe in, irrespective of the brand. Like I'm not on the books with any motorcycle manufacturer. Akrapovic is a sponsor, Pirelli's a sponsor, Alpinestar, all the products I've got sponsors. And I can put all those sponsors on any motorcycle, and it's kind of worked very well. And they, you know, whoever is joining in on that project gets the benefit of the travel story. I kind of prefer it in most situations to be less about the bike. Incidentally, I'm seeing the world on a motorcycle. That's half the reason we do it, right? You know, I don't know how many people have raced here or done laps of a motocross track. You sort of can only do that for so long. You sort of want to get out and and use your bike skills to go and see the place. But yeah, piecing it all together into films that people can enjoy and watch is sort of the biggest priority on the travels. And you know, let's face it, it's actually hard work too, enjoyable hard work.
So what have you got next here? Are you spending a bit of time in the UK riding around, or do you have to get straight back?
Yeah, I just want to go home. No, look, this is mind-blowing. This festival is unbelievable. But back to back with the Himalaya trip, and as I mentioned, I've got 2 daughters. It wasn't until I was 3 weeks at home in Australia, and then it wasn't until I was sort of halfway across Italy, and like, yeah, this was a bit close. It's, you know, food for thought. Like I'll do my best to kind of keep the projects more spread out. International ones, I've obviously got stuff happening in Australia, but it's very much, I start to appreciate the fly-in, fly-out scenarios for working dads, dads that are fly-in, fly-out. And it's not like I'm 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. It's just happened, this particular opportunities, the Himalayan opportunity and now this, that you start to feel the work side of it weigh in.
I think there's two things that we have found that changes your perspective generally on life and what's important. One is global travel, because you get to have a far better understanding of how unimportant you are amongst the world. But family, and I think as we've got older, family and travel are the two things that have moulded our value system. I'm going to flip things pretty much 180 degrees. Quick question before I go. I did watch another video recently with regards to, I really enjoyed your review of the BMW F900. Am I right in thinking, with Mythology Films, you were the official cinematographer for, was it 4 or 5 years? But then there was a spell that you didn't have a relationship, and then BMW reached out and went, Adam, could you review this? What happened in between?
Well, they just, I was putting Australia's GS Safaris to the world, because they also got the benefit of my channel, my audience. So more than BMW customers were seeing the content. And then, Germany, they actually used some of my footage of their event, and I was also in it, for ads played through Dakar Rally. So they were advertising the GS through Dakar, and it was good. It was all like, and I built it up, and then they just go get someone cheaper. I think the next video, they're like, someone shot it with their phone. It's like, good luck with that. Anyway, thankfully, KTM launched their rallies same year, and guess who got the gig? So I went from that to doing all the KTM rallies, and look, it's just business. You're gonna have a window of doing your thing, and then inevitably someone else will get the gig. And I've just learned to, that was cool. And also the actual nature of the rallies themselves are sort of more about the other people, whereas specifically I started to work out that my audience would actually rather see me doing these events. So BMW have come back.
That's what I saw in the video, and you seemed to be quite genuinely surprised that this new 900 was actually not a complete piece of shit.
No, but this is before I rode that 900. They actually wanted me to come and do their safari, and I was like, well, there's no way I'm filming the thing like I used to. I would have just hit them with a ridiculous bill to try and not get the job. But I said, look, if you want me to do it, I'll just come, ride your event, have a fat time, and put something on my channel. And they're like, done. And I said exactly that. Don't give me your old 800 thing. It's not going to look good for you. I'm not coming unless I'm on the Rhino, because I really do like those bikes. And they're like, yep, do it. And it was great, and look, it's really just tongue-in-cheek and a bit of fun, but the industry's so small, they're going to need to pull you back at some point, especially if you just... And then following on from that, they're like, come on, now we want you to ride the 900. And if you've seen the video, it's a good thing. It's fast.
Part 1 and part 2, just saying.
Now I know we could sit here and chat, I think, all day, and then get a couple of beers in and continue into the afternoon, but we can't. So, no, that's not the plan, unfortunately. So I hope you've got some questions ready. I'm going to pop down and get your questions ready. We have about, we have only 5 minutes for some questions, and then we can have a small roundup. I've been flash that over there. So we've got to finish this and roll it in at 10:50. So a few minutes.
You did say you were going to jump down.
I'm not going to jump down. I'll hurt myself. So I've got to go this way, and hopefully I won't feed back. Get your questions ready. Who's first? I like that. Hands straight up. Ooh, that's good.
Drum roll, here we go. And if you could give us your name and then the question.
Hello, my name is Felipe. First of all, thank you very much for taking the flight here. We appreciate your presence. So, how do you keep yourself fit between trips? Because I find it takes a while until I'm really feeling it, but I don't travel that often. And not only physically fit, but also mentally fit. As you were saying, you miss your family. So how do you keep yourself together?
The Himalayan trip was good incentive to do some off-the-bike training because I knew what was coming, the altitude, and I'm getting older, and I thought I better do something else. So for a lot of years, you kind of just get by on experience and you get a bit soft. So I was, there's 1,000 influencers with their shirts off doing fitness programs. You can just pick up a couple of things from them. And then, yeah, I tried for 3 days a week just to get 20 minutes, half an hour in something. Basic shit, push-ups. The missus has got some little 3 kilo yoga-y things and anything, just work up a sweat. But it helped. It made all the difference in the Himalayas. I haven't dropped that program since I started the trip, and haven't really had the energy to do much else. But if you felt my camera bag, it's like 15 kilos, it's a little pack on my back, and it's like it's not even there now. You riding 10, 12 hours a day, you're doing 4,000 mini squats on the bike and the off-road. The trip itself keeps you fit, and as long as you're sort of half trying to eat well, stay off the piss, the alcohol, as much as you can. It's hard in Italy. I had to get out of there. They're shoving vino at lunchtime. I'm drinking red wine at lunch and then back on the bike and hitting these grass tracks with them. This is the Italian way, But it's basically, it becomes quite logical. And if you've had a background in keeping fit and training for racing, your body remembers quite quickly.
Do you find that as you get older, because Lisa and I definitely do, if you've only got a very limited amount of time and you want to focus on something, focus on your flexibility more than your strength. The strength is important, but more of us have accidents that end up being as a result of a lack of flexibility, hamstrings, calves on your back. So just a little bit each day. So thank you very much for the question, Lisa.
So those of you that did yoga this morning, that was really good. Keep
I think
that
we're getting
up.
50, 60 people at 6 this morning.
Any other questions? Oh, right in front. There you go.
How you going, Adam? Just want to say a massive thank you for the content you're putting out there in the Warhorse. I'm pretty sure everybody agree that we all really, really enjoy it. And I've been riding older Africa Twins for 10 years, so I feel like somebody's finally shining a spotlight in those bikes and they're finally getting the appreciation they deserve. And just looking forward to more content on the Warhorse. Cheers.
Appreciate that, mate. And I'm lucky I discovered that bike. I was just chatting to another guy earlier. He's like, why didn't you get the XTZ 750, the Yamaha? And I said it was just simply fateful. Those 3 bikes that I had online second-hand to go look at, it was just this fateful purchase that it ended up being the Africa Twin. And I'm so grateful I stumbled upon a legend, really. I did.
I've got to quickly ask, are you here for a couple of days? Are you here just for today? Are you at the festival for a little bit?
Today, tomorrow, and then I'm out.
Where
can we find you if we want to hang out? If somebody wanted to rush up towards you and just give you money or alcohol, where would they find you?
I'm kind of lurking around the Husky tent. Keen to actually have a ride today. I put some half decent tyres on, and I need to go for a ride because this place is huge. I haven't even got my bearings yet. And then keen to have a few tonight. The project will sort of close video project, and then I can just blend in with you lot.
I think
love it
we'll
when
be at the bar. We'll all be at the bar. I'm sure we'll find you out. I know we've run out of time. I'm sorry I couldn't get any more questions in. So you know where to find Adam. Give him a bit of a break.
Please
sometimes.
put your hands together for the legend that is Adam Riemann.
It's really cool for everyone. I'm probably not going to get to meet everyone, but the people that have come up so far with genuine appreciation for the videos and the work, it's the best incentive to keep pressing on. It's a tough job, you know. But I love it.